You're welcome, sir. Everybody move forward. Start from this first thing. This thing and the am. When I see us for film, sometimes we look Zagaya. Come forward. Waiting there this one where we run from. We say I stand. You the time say you know stand there. I ask Royal Ranger, help me carry you now. The very Deacon. The very first Simon and start from the first. The very first one start. When he fool you next one. First one. All these young children when they stay elderly people back so now when they look their head. Now in church they see where children they stay adults back. Now front and they rush come. If you need fan, buy one, come from her, put them for your side. When you tell you say fan.
Praise the Lord. Let me start by appreciating the leadership of the church for the opportunity to give this talk. It's always a great opportunity to be given a chance to, it's a privilege to do one assignment or the other in the house of God. It's a privilege. Like I say always, we are what we are by the grace of God. So when you have a chance or an opportunity to give back, count it as a great honor and privilege. So thank you, sir. So we're looking at our diet and our health. Now, what is good nutrition? Because these days we are beginning to see a lot of people having some health challenges. Just as I was in the car, a friend's wife was my classmate, that is the husband. The wife called me to discuss something with me. We lost him. I was telling my driver, we lost him a couple of years ago, sudden death. And that happens often times. You know, so we're going to discuss a few things and we'll take some tips home that can help us to live a meaningful life. What is good nutrition? It means maintaining a nutritional status that enables us to grow well and enjoy good health. Which means we can also reverse the definition to say what is bad nutrition. If you eat and are not growing well and your health is endangered, that is poor nutrition. Whatever you eat, if it's not enabling your health to blossom, it means you're having bad nutrition. Let's look at how we can classify the foods we eat. Number one, we can look at food from the source, origin of the food. Basically, we have two sources, either from animals or from plants. We can also classify them by the chemical composition. So we talk of proteins, fats, carbohydrates, minerals, and vitamins. That is the chemical composition. Then we can also look at it by the main function the food is supposed to perform for us. Number one, we can look at it as bodybuilding foods like meat, milk, poultry, that's like chicken, fish, eggs. Then some food are meant to give you energy. For example, cereals, sugar, fats, oil, etc. Then some food are supposed to protect you. That is, boost your immune responses. Examples of that will be vegetables, fruits, and milk. They protect you from against diseases and all such. We are going to be looking at about 8 tips that will help us to maintain a healthy eating habit. So these 8 tips are the one I'll be discussing in detail, but I'll summarize them here. Number 1, base your meals on starchy carbohydrates. Number 2, eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Number 3, eat more of fish, including a portion of oily fish. Number 4, cut down on saturated fat and sugar. I'm sure those that bake will know what's called saturated fat and unsaturated fat. When I'm talking in detail, I will explain it. Number 5, eat less salt. Number 6, get active and be a healthy weight. Number 7, don't get thirsty before you drink water. Then number 8, don't skip breakfast. I will explain all this just now. Let's start with the first one. Base your meals on starchy carbohydrates. These are foods that include things like potatoes, yam, bread, pasta, rice, and noodles. Where possible, it is recommended we use whole grain. Whole grain is one that contains the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. It may be a bit expensive, that may be a challenge. Examples of whole grain will include brown rice, millet, oats, corn, popcorn. So you can take popcorn, for example, with a glass of water and go to sleep. Or higher fiber versions with less added fat, salt, and sugar. Whole grains are considered to be more nutritious and healthier than the regular grains we get. In addition to carbohydrates, the whole grains also provide iron, phosphorus, magnesium, manganese, and other substances. Starchy foods essentially provide us with energy as well as dietary fibers, calcium, iron, and vitamins. Now, most people need to eat more of these types of food, especially those high in fiber. It's very important, high in fiber. Because if you take things that are too refined, not high in fiber, you don't move your bowel every day. You may see yourself move your bowel once in 3 days, once in 4 days, and you think it's normal. It's not normal. If you take high fiber food, a lot of vegetables, you move your bowel maybe once or twice a day. It cleanses the GIT. But if you stuff your GIT with, the fecal material, there are some chemicals in feces that will be irritating the colon. Over time, that can actually transform to cancers. So one of the causes of colon cancer is this attitude of not eating right. Some people can have colon cancer because of that. However, we need to be moderate. Everything we do in life is moderation. So excess of carbohydrates can be dangerous to our health, can lead to weight gain, high blood sugar, diabetes, fatigue. You just get tired, easily fatigued. High cholesterol, high serum insulin, because insulin is the one that clears sugar from the body. So if you subject your body to too much sugar all the time, then insulin will be stimulated. You now have too much of insulin in your body. Over time, it gets burnt out. Then you now have what we call type 2 diabetes. Then you have skin issues, can be having ulcers and wounds. You have high triglycerides. You have this urge to want to take a lot of sweet things. Then you're often constipated and bloated. Then the digestive system, the intestinal system is disturbed often. Number 2, we need to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Vegetables are so good. When I see my patients using some of these refined products, they call them supplements, I laugh at them. Because what those people have simply done, it works, I will tell you, but very expensive, those supplements, they work. What they simply did was to get the vegetables and all that and prepare them for you and transform them into some tablets or capsules, whereas you can go to the market, buy pumpkin. There's a woman I managed for cancer of the breast. The very first day we gave her chemotherapy, her PCV was low. We transfused her. And I told her, Mama, you don't need to be taking blood before you take chemotherapy. If you can take pumpkin, drink the water, and use the vegetable to make sauce, for your next cycle, I'm sure your PCV will go up. And the woman said, only that one? I said, yes. She was taking that religiously. We drink the water, drink the vegetables. When she came to check her PCV after the first cycle, it was, I think, 36 or so. We didn't need to give her blood. And until she finished her chemotherapy, she never took blood transfusion again. Which means ordinary pumpkin with neglect, which is cheap. You can get a lot of things from it. If you're unable to buy meat, you're unable to buy fish, you can get a lot of minerals, proteins from all these fish, vegetables you can get. Then, of course, you have other fruits, like the apples, bananas, strawberries, and all that. Do a lot of that, and it will help. But again, you have to be careful when you are taking apples. It contains some sugar. Watermelon is very good. I brought a saw some yesterday. I bought one. It's very good, but moderation. I took 2 pieces. It was sweet. I took a 3rd piece. When I was having the urge to take more, I said, no, that's enough. That is moderation. You don't just keep taking it because it's sweet. God is there. I bought one big one, but it's there. So you can use some of those things because excess of that watermelon can also lead to increase in sugar. Everything has to be in moderation. All right, now I've studied it can be fresh. I will encourage you also to use the fresh fruits and vegetables. Let the able man who is too busy use the frozen ones. I don't really see anybody here who will be going to supermarket to go and buy juice that's already in there. When you can buy oranges, you can prepare the juice yourself. You can buy apples and make the juice if you want to make the juice. So there's no reason really why anybody should go and get canned food. Because the canned food, you don't know exactly what they are using to prepare them. Some of these canned materials we take, they use phosphorus, which can cause kidney problems. We are beginning to have a lot of kidney injuries in the hospital. I'm happy Mama is here. A lot of kidney injuries. So we have to be wary with all this artificial food. But we mention them in case maybe you travel and so I want to take vegetables, they are there. So people can prepare vegetables for you that can last for the next 1 or 2 weeks or 2 years, as the case may be. But if you can get a fresh one, I will advocate that you use that one. Now, we should do more of fish as much as possible. Let's do less of red meat, red beef. It can be very tempting. I'm also guilty of it. When the children call you, Daddy, buy suya, you know, you're at a crossroad. How do you tell them no? You see yourself, you are compelled to go and, buy the suya. My boy doesn't like fish, but I'm beginning to get it to be interested in this Melusa fish. The one the smoke and all that. Grilled fish. So you have to reduce your red meat. Instead, concentrate on taking more of fish. Particularly what we call the oily fish. Like the mackerels, the sardines and all that. The oily fish, they don't only have oil in the liver, they also have oil in their intestine. So it's rich. All right? Very rich. In particular, the oily fish has a number of vitamin D. In fact, it's about the only source where you can get vitamin D, apart from having it from the sun. When you take it, it's the only food that can give you vitamin D directly, which is good for our bone health. All right? It can make you to have very healthy bones. So if you can do fish, do that a lot. It's very good in protein. It also gives you some vitamins and minerals. It gives you essential nutrients, such as protein, in your diet. It's a source of vitamins. All right. I was saying here, can you name some oily fish? I mentioned 2 of them before. Salmon, mackerel, pilchards, sprats, sardines. They are examples of oily fishes. They may look cheap. You use it. You see, I was talking here sometime that I learned something from my friend, Senator Odia. When he won the first time, he invited us to his house for dinner. And when I saw what he was eating, small piece of dry fish and all that, that was the ate. Some of the people he invited were the one packing the beef and all that. I was just wondering. I learned a lesson from that. The man who is invited you to come and eat and drink, he just taking some 2 pieces of fish. I took small rice. That was the ate. Then the invited guests were the one, because it was serve yourself, filling their plate with all the meat and all that. So that was in wisdom. Like I said, I learned from that. That's available doesn't mean, we're going to see the last slide. There's a scripture there. I never knew that scripture was there. Now, because you have honey, doesn't mean you should eat and eat or to start vomiting. Eat a little and stop. Now, number 4, cut down on saturated fat and sugar. Definitely, we all need some fat in our diet, but it is important to get the right type and the amount. Basically, we have 2 kinds of fat. Number 1 is the saturated fat. The way you can understand that, that's the fat that is solid in room air. If you put it down, it will form, solid here in room air. It's very dangerous. The way you can imagine it, just also imagine that's the way that same fat can solidify and block your blood vessels. Just try to imagine it like that. So whereas the unsaturated fat is the fat that is liquid in room air. All right? So if you see cheese, butter, which people crave for, people crave for that. You see butter, you see cheese and all that. They will eat it. Those things are quite dangerous to our health. So I said saturated fat are solid at room temperature, while unsaturated fat are liquid at room temperature. Eating too much of saturated fat can increase your blood cholesterol. That's what it does. And when you have blood cholesterol, it plugs the vessels. Once it plugs the vessel, that's a cause of cardiac arrest. It's a cause of disease of the arteries. You see some people, they have wounds in their legs because the blood supply to the leg is impaired because the vessels are compromised. The caliber is not as wide as it ought to be. The cholesterol is, is plugging the lumen or the vessels. So the perfusion, or the supply to the leg is compromised. So if that person has an injury, for example, it may not heal. It's even worse if that person is a diabetic. If it's a diabetic, having what we call it atherosclerosis, but don't mind those big grammar. It just simply means plugging of the blood vessels with this fat that is bad. And that is what you see people eating. Where do we see this very bad fat? Hard cheese, cakes. So those that eat a lot of cake, you have to be careful. You have to be careful. It's a thing, you have to discipline yourself. All right? You must discipline. Not because it's available, you just eating the cakes, biscuits. That is why you must be disciplined. Eat at home and have a schedule. When I'm going, Madam is trying. As busy as she is, when I'm leaving, my lunch pack is there. I carry it. So that you don't have to be taking biscuit when you're hungry. The biscuit has a lot of this bad fat. You may not know. Then palm oil, bacon. When you go to a restaurant, they give you bacon. They give you all those sausages. They look very appetizing. Meat pies, pastry, ice cream, and butter, which we all eat. But we don't know that it's bad. If you must take it, it has to be a little quantity. Because once you take more of this, it has the tendency to create issues in your blood vessels. This is one of the causes of sudden death. When you do a postmortem, you go and see that the vessels in the heart are plugged. It's also one of the causes. Maybe there are youths here, but I will say it. They can close their ears. It's also one of the causes of erectile dysfunction. Because a man having erectile dysfunction, just going to be taking Viagra, is actually sitting on the gunpowder. So you may have heard that some men that went to hotel, they took Viagra and they died. The reason is that this same bad fat that is plugging the vessels in the legs can also plug vessels in the heart. So when you engage in activities that are very exerting, then your heart cannot cope because the blood supply is compromised. How can you also know that your blood supply to the leg is compromised? Because of this bad fat. If you jog for some distance, you see yourself, you're having aches behind your leg. You have to stop. So we call that claudication. Because the caliber is not as wide as the way God made it, because the fat has plugged it. So when you are moving, running, the body ought to pump in blood to match with that pace of your exercise. But because your body cannot meet up with that pace of your exercise, you see yourself having pain. You're not having what they call biology, anaerobic respiration or metabolism taking place instead of aerobic, because your body is not able to match up with enough supply. So you're having aches. So when anybody having that, you should go and check your level of cholesterol. You jog for a while, you see your legs are aching. Go and check your cholesterol. Normal level should be below 200. If your cholesterol is well above 200, you're a candidate that you be on a drug. Lipitor, very cheap. Take a tablet a day. What it does is to help to melt the oil. But like we say in medicine, prevention is better than cure. Because every medicine is like a poison. No medicine without side effect. So if you can do it naturally, it will be preferred in that way. Try to cut down on foods that are high in saturated fat and replace with foods high in unsaturated fats. People don't know. Eggs are very good in unsaturated fat. So if you are not be eating egg, you can eat egg. 1 or 2 a day, you are very safe. It's got a lot of unsaturated fat, what they call HDL, which is the good cholesterol. You hear we talk of good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. And when you have that, it helps to reduce the effect of the bad cholesterol, the LDL. All right? So there's good evidence that when you replace saturated fat with unsaturated fat, it can help to lower your cholesterol. Now, sugar. Too many sugar-containing food and drinks consumed between meals is associated with an increased tendency towards tooth decay, especially with those with poor hygiene, dental hygiene. You know, when we drink a lot of minerals, I remember those days when, we're publishing and all that, we'll stay in your office from morning till evening. I had a crate of mineral in my office. You just keep drinking, you are writing, you all keep drinking. You can be there from 8 to 5 p.m. You want to publish paper, you will be a professor. But it was dangerous. Within, I didn't know. Then suddenly my sugar went up. Of course, when that happened, my wife is a lab scientist. She came to my office and carried the crate of mineral home. Yeah, because that was danger. So you must find a way to eat. In between, you can take some little snacks that are healthy rather than taking mineral and all that. All right, that is very important. So, commodity they contain a lot of sugar, which we take, we relish, we eat it a lot. Foods and drinks high in sugar include sweets, which we also take, cakes, biscuits. For people that bake here, we don't say you shouldn't bake. We will still patronize you, but wisdom, moderation in everything. So carbonated drinks, which we drink, like Coca-Cola, for example. About how many cubes? That's 7 or 8 cubes. And people can drink 3 or 4 and just keep drinking. Excessive amounts of added sugars and sweeteners have been associated with an increased risk of type 2 diabetes mellitus. People that take a lot of Coke, Fanta, Sprite, all those drinks, they have a lot of sugar. It's refined. And your body doesn't have time to metabolize it. It goes straight into your system. Whereas the one you eat, they are complex, as it were. Your body will have time to deal with it. These are like simple. You take it, it goes straight into your circulation. And it has a way, because immediately you are bombarding your pancreas with high sugar. Then your pancreas is stimulated to produce insulin, to cope. Then you bombard it, it comes to a point, it's overwhelmed, and just gives up. Then you say, diabetes is setting. The way you can understand it, if you ever went to a farm those days, when you go to a farm that's very bushy, you will not be there for some time. When you get it, you don't know where to start. You just sit down. Yes, I was a very good farmer. You just sit down for some, you'll be thinking what to do. You don't know where to start. Because it's too, that's what happens too. When you now keep doing that, the pancreas gets overwhelmed, as it were. It just shut down. It's not able to produce insulin again. It has got a capacity. It's been overworked. It shuts down. Then you now see yourself, you are depending on drugs. You are depending on insulin. And to be on insulin for life is not a joke. You take that thing at times, two times a day, depending on how bad it is, or the type you are using, 3 times a day. If that can be avoided, I think we should strive to avoid it. It's very important. Then eat less salt. Again, most of us are guilty of this. Eat less salt. Because for you to be able to maintain your good blood pressure, your salt level must be optimal. If it's too bad, because salt is sodium chloride, what it does, it pushes water, it raises BP, one of the causes of BP. So for us today, when they serve you food at occasion, eat it the way it is. Don't be demanding for extra salt. It's not just sweet at all. If madam cook for house, it's not sweet, manage it like that. Don't start putting in salt and all that. Because eating too much salt can raise your blood pressure and can cause stroke, can cause cardiac issues, cardiac arrest and all that. I mean, you need to have, if you see a patient that has stroke, I went to give a talk at Ife sometime. It's even late now. I'm sure it's complication for all those things. So when we're going to have lunch, so I was going to drive after somebody. I didn't know the venue of the lunch. So I noticed that the person in our front wasn't moving. So quarterly, why is he not moving now? So eventually when the guy behind us moved, we pulled back and drove by his side. And I saw it was my colleague. He's late now. I saw him struggling to wear his seatbelt, When I got to the venue, and I asked him, what's happening to our colleague? He said, you didn't hear? He went for a conference in the UK. He had a stroke there. Very bad stroke at that. So he was still managing to drive his automatic car, and all that. He died early this year. So you must control how much salt you take. Most of our salt intake comes from processed food rather than the salt we actually take in our food. We need to understand that. Processed food They use salt to preserve most of the things. They are not thinking of your head. They are thinking of how they can preserve their food items. So salt is a preservative. Okay, so they use to preserve the food they are giving you. And when you are eating it, you still now add more salt to your food you are eating. From the food you bought in the supermarket, you already have enough salt. Then from the food you are eating at home, you also add more salt. So we need to be careful. Always check your food labels for the salt content. You can check your food labels. It's written there. If it's too high, don't buy it. Now, number 6, we must learn to get active and maintain a healthy weight. I was happy when Reverend Douglas was talking about exercise or the tip he was giving. I live on campus. I try now. It's difficult. You have to be disciplined. To wake up by 5, to go and walk around for 1 hour. It's a bit tough. It requires discipline. I must say, I'm not able to do it every day. But I try maybe twice or so, or 3 times a week. You move around, and I do 1 hour. I notice when I leave, maybe 5 or 6, I get home exactly 1 hour. You go around that Uniben perimeter. Move around. If you cannot jog, you can do brisk walking. You do that, you'll be amazed. And since I started doing it, when I climb the staircase of my office now, I no longer pant. I can actually run through the staircase. And you get very fit. On Saturday, someone was telling me, Prof, you're looking trim. My weight has come down from 100 to 94. I'm still thinking, okay, that's still too much for me. How I can still go down to about maybe 85 or so. It's very important. You have to, as you get above 40 especially, you cannot trivialize exercise. There's no two way about it. You can't say you are too busy. If your area is not safe, for example, I used to do it at 5 a.m. But because you must understand the times we live in, because the times we live in is not too good, what I now do, I wait till 6 a.m. When the day is very bright, I move around 6 a.m. You don't have to be jogging, somebody say, stop there. So, but if your area is not safe, you can actually move around your compound. You can buy a smartwatch and set it. You can do the pedometer and put it there, 10,000 steps. That's what you want to do before you leave your house. So it doesn't matter whether you're on the street, in your compound, you keep moving up and down, move up and down, it will be counting. And you look at how many steps you have taken. If by the time you come home in the evening, you have not made 10,000 steps, you can discipline yourself. Their studies have shown that people that do exercise like this weekly and sustained, they have health benefits. There's no doubt about that at all. So we need to balance the energy from food and drinks with energy we use up through activity. We talked about the food we eat, it gives us energy. We store up energy. But if you overstore up energy, it's not good. You need to now also dispense some energy by engaging in exercise. Therefore, being active can reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes. It's coming. Exercise will cut down. People will tell you that diabetics, that with exercise alone, I'm happy Mama is here, they don't use drugs. Diet and exercise. Their BP too, diet, exercise. BP is controlled, sugar is controlled. Then what more do you need? All right? Heart diseases and stroke are help maintain a healthy weight. Being overweight or obese can lead to health conditions such as type 2 diabetes, of course, or cancers. Just open your phone, look at risk for cancers. You are going to see that obesity is there, virtually in every type of cancer. Another thing you see there is lack of physical exercise. It's there, virtually in all kinds of cancer, whether breast cancer, colon cancer, anywhere. Lack of physical exercise is there. So please, we must engage in exercises. But being underweight too is dangerous. We're not saying you shouldn't eat. You now become trained. I was telling my people yesterday, there's a patient I was to treat. I said, why don't you go to the mountain? And I said, no, you need to have surgery. Of course, you cannot force a patient that wants autonomy. He can decide for himself. So he left. We made it to sign against advice. We do that in case he dies. He will say, oh, I didn't understand. So he signed. He's my very good friend. So our doctor, I said, yeah, oh God, that's what they do. So he signed and he left. I think after a week or two on the mountain, when this guy came by, I didn't recognize him. He had lost so much weight. It took me some time. I said, are you the one? When we did this kidney function test, the urea was in the roof. Monday is here, 115. Creatinine was 2.8. He said, God, can we do the operation today? We said, no, nobody can operate you the way you are. We need to resuscitate you for about 1 week minimum. So we admitted him, put him on drip, for that 1 week. We did the operation. It's done well now. But if you are continuing with that he was doing, he will die. So we need to be careful. We're not saying you shouldn't eat. You want to be starving yourself because of this. Moderation is the key. Young people should have at least 60 minutes of physical exercise every day. Where's Brother Sam? Yes, 60 minutes. You're a young man, you have a long way ahead of you. Adults should have about 150. That's about 2.5 hours every week. So I'm not doing badly if I do 3 hours a week. All right, we must do that. So that things you can do: brisk walking, gardening, using the stairs. You know, for example, if you are staying in a hotel that's just 4 floors, rather than wait for the lift, just jump. I do that a lot. Say if I'm carrying heavy bags and all that, I do that a lot. It's a way to exercise often. It's a way to exercise. Gardening, just that, it's a thing we can also do. I've been meaning to do that, plant small yam in the backyard and all that. I have a boy that comes to help us to use the mowing machine. But you can actually do that yourself. It makes you to sweat and when you feel good. And you can also engage in active recreation, playing, dancing. When Mama was dancing just now, I said, Mama is acting one of my slides. Dancing, even in the church. It doesn't matter whether it's at home or in the church. Dancing is a form of exercise. You exercise yourself and it helps you. Cycling, skateboarding, if you can buy a bicycle, ride around. You exercise all your muscles, your limbs, and your joints. You can engage in sports if you can. Netball, football, running, gymnastics, and all that. Then now we come down on body weight. Extra weight can increase blood pressure, blood glucose, and cholesterol. The very bad weight is the one around our tummy, around our waist. That is very dangerous in terms of diabetes, high blood pressure, and high blood cholesterol. You can see the man there. It's not a sign of affluence. Those days are gone. When you say, those days are gone. To lose weight, you have to take in fewer calories than you burn. We've talked about that. When you take in calories, take fewer than you burn more. When you burn more calories than you are taking, invariably, you are going to lose weight. So there's a diagram, they talk of a scale. You have to have a balance. Maintaining a healthy weight is a balancing act. You take in calories, you give out calories. And the next slide, I put it there. I say, herein lies the danger of eating late in the night or going to bed soon after food. So that balance will be distorted. You took in plenty calories, you just went to bed. But I can tell you, that is one of my major, not that I eat too much, that's my major constraint. Because of the work, you come in late. Last night, for example, I was in UPTA till about 9:30. Who meant I ate around to 10. And because it's been a habit, I must follow them to their room to go and lie down. You see yourself, you follow them. Because the day you don't follow them, they grumble small. So that's the fine balance you have to make. But then it got up, it was 1 o'clock, too late. So the effect of that is gone. Whereas if you eat around that time, you certainly must find something to do. Walk around, do some things, do some reading. Just move around so you can burn off some of those calories. Because when you go to sleep, the system also goes to sleep, in quote, especially the intestinal system. It slows down. And so you build up the calories. You build it up. So if you keep doing that consistently, you eat, you go and sleep. You eat late, you go and sleep. You see yourself putting on weight, even though you are not really eating too much compared to what you were even eating before. We need to understand that. So don't go to bed soon after eating. Then don't get thirsty. Don't get thirsty. How many minutes have I done, please? Up to 30 minutes? I say that sometimes, sir. Okay, don't get thirsty. I will explain this. Learn to drink a lot of water. I do that a lot. If you come to my office, you see, bags of bottled water is there. Both in my office in UBTH and my office in the clinic. And if you cannot buy that, buy the sachet one. Or fill your own at home. Fill your own at home and carry it. For example, I live beside school. We fill our water from the Uniben tap because it is treated. So why should I be buying bottled water when Uniben water is treated? But when I go to my house, at Isi Hall, because I don't trust that the ball is treated. Yes, we'll buy whether sachet water or bottled water. So if you have access to treated water, you can fill your cans. So, and fill it and drink. You must go and start spending money buying bottled water. Because about 2/3 of our body is made up of water. We lose water throughout the day. When we breathe, when we sweat, I'm sweating now, I'm losing water. I don't need to be told by anybody that I should drink water soon after this talk. When you use the toilet, you lose water, you pass urine through many routes. You must replace them. Don't wait until you are thirsty. Just keep drinking. Just keep drinking. Make it a habit. Keep drinking. When you don't have enough water, we say you are dehydrated. You need to drink about 8 glasses every day, which is too small as far as I'm concerned. Drink a lot of water. Drink more when the weather is very hot or when you are very active. I've just told you just now. If you go and jog for 1 hour, after jogging for an hour, what should you do? You drink water to replace that one you lost. Well, yes, water is very safe for the body. It rehydrates you, it gets you going. Apart from water, most drinks count towards our fluid intake. But I would recommend that let us do more of what? Water. Most other things you can take as fluid, you have chemicals added. And some of the chemicals, you cannot vouch for what they are using to make them for you. So use water as much as possible. Common signs that you don't have enough water is thirst. But remember we said, don't get to this point of say, I'm thirsty. Don't get to that point. Just have a habit of drinking water always. You pass dark colored urine, you don't have energy, you feel weak, you are not passing too much urine when you go to the toilet, looking scanty. You have headaches, you feel lightheaded. When you have those features, it means you are dehydrated. It's a time for you to quickly take more water. All right? Any of those things, if they happen to you, go and take water to rehydrate. Then, this is the error most people make. They skip breakfast. So, I have a doctor friend that says, I run dry. My food is in the evening. It doesn't work that way. That person can really have diabetes. You are disorganizing the system in your body. You don't take breakfast, you don't take lunch. In the evening, we call that binge eating. You go and fill the plate and eat. Of course, you feed the stomach, you are tired, you go to sleep within 5-10 minutes. It's a waste of time. That's a candidate that can have diabetes. So I put here, and somebody's quote, take breakfast like a king, take your lunch like a prince, and take dinner like a pauper. If you remember that, it will help you. If you have been doing the opposite, try and change it. Take breakfast like what? Like a king. You eat well. Because it makes your brain to reason well. You set out, you are focused, you are concentrated on your activities, you achieve excellence. In the afternoon, eat like a prince, not too much. In the evening, like a pauper. If somebody sees you, say, I just want to eat a chop, something very small. Breakfast can help increase concentration and alertness during the morning and even thereafter. Now, a heart-healthy eating plan will include losing weight if needed, limit bad fats, we talked about that, use good fats, and eat more of fibers. It will help to protect you against cancers, it will protect your heart. Have at least 3 meals a day. This may look in the manner I discussed. Heavy in the morning, small in the afternoon, very little in the evening. Have small snacks between meals if you choose to. Then we should diet low in refined carbohydrates. Work best. Don't take a lot of this refined food. Reduce attitude of eating refined food. Refined food. Let us stop that. Let us cook at home. Choose whole grains, bread, cereals, pasta. All right? Oatmeal. How many of us know oatmeal? Quick and oat. It's so nice. I recommend it to you. I eat that. You can blend it. You can eat it in the morning the way you take a pap. The glycemic index is not as high as custard or pap. It's much lower because it's got fibers. I would recommend that. It's not too expensive. You make the oatmeal in the morning the way you make pap. Then in the afternoon or in the evening, instead of eating a bar, you blend it the way you make amala. That's the way you make oatmeal exactly. It tastes like pounded yam, but the glycemic index is very low. I've seen a woman, the daughter is a lab scientist in Port Harcourt. She was using all kind of drugs and all that. with very poor control until she cut down on her food, engaged in exercise, and her food now became oatmeal for breakfast, oatmeal made into paste for dinner. Her sugar control was, improved. All right, so it's good to do that. A lot of vegetables. And some we also even recommend you can take vegetables before your main food. When you do that, you now take little carbohydrate and you move on. Some effects of poor eating habits, we have mentioned them like a summary. Number one, you'll be overweight or obese. It can lead to tooth decay. It can lead to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart diseases and stroke, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, the bones become weak, can lead to some cancers, can cause depression. Because some people who are obese, they are depressed. Then it can also cause eating disorders. They now say, I won't eat again, self. Come and eat breakfast, I'm not eating. So they have eating disorders. Then what can we do? I put here, practice defensive eating. Number one, practice stopping before you are stuffed to the brim. Make it a habit. Don't keep eating until the tummy you are belching. You're not belching. You don't do that. That's one way you can help yourself. Have a habit to have a portion measured. When you finish that portion, whether you are hungry or not, just ignore it and go to sleep. Before you know it, your body will get used to it. So practice stopping before you get stuffed. Be selective. Don't just eat because it is there. I told you just now of a senator who had all the food in the house. He was selective. He didn't eat because the food was available. But the visitors were the one eating everything. Be selective. And this is very common too, maybe at weddings and occasions and all that. It requires discipline. When you go for a wedding occasion, if you already had your lunch at home before you went and they serve food, there's no reason why you should start eating. But many people cannot withstand that temptation. True or false? Yes. Yes, let us try and have a change. That's one way you can help yourself. You ate by 1 o'clock. You went for a reception. They are serving food by 2. You are eating. It's not good because it's available. Let us be disciplined. Then choose small portions. Choose small portions, especially for adults here. We are not really growing. That's why I started by showing all the function of the food. We are not really growing anymore. What you just need is a balance to keep going. So maintain small portions. Beware of desserts. After eating, like we're planning the couples forum, want to make it a 3-course meal. There will be pepper soup, first course. Second course, the main food. There will be dessert, the sweets. You be careful with that. You have had a plate of food up at the dam. They bring cake and sweet. You take it. They bring oranges. You take it. They bring some ice cream. You say, give me. So we have to be careful. Remember we talked about bad fat. Present in cake, present in ice cream. And these are the things we use as dessert most times. So let's be careful. Slow down and pay attention to your food when you eat. Because people have said that when you eat in a hurry, you tend to eat too much. You don't know. You don't eat so much in a hurry. Pay attention. When you eat slowly, you are not so much in a hurry. You are relaxed. You can watch a news item on television. Before you know it, you get satisfied. Because there's a center in the brain that gives you some signals that you are full. And you stop. But if you eat in a hurry, you may not have time for the signal to work. You just suppress the signal. Keep track of the calories in the foods you eat. Take enough water as much as possible. Eat the food you prepared by yourself. That can't be overemphasized. Because you know what you are putting in it. You know what you are putting, the amount of salt and everything. The chemicals in the food you buy outside, you don't know. We don't know why we are having increasing rates of kidney failure today. We don't know. And cancers also are increasing. We're having cancers now, even young girls. We've had cancer in a girl of 16 years, cancer in a girl of 18 years. So in Ife, that same doctor who is late now, saw a case of cancer in a 10-year-old boy at Ife. So let's be careful. Benefits of eating healthy in an adult, we've talked about it, may help you to live longer, keeps your skin, teeth, and eyes very healthy. It supports your muscles, It boosts your immunity, it strengthens your bones, lowers the risk of heart diseases, diabetes, and some cancers, supports a healthy pregnancies for women and breastfeeding, helps the digestive system to function effectively, helps to achieve and maintain a healthy weight. Of course, in children too, it keeps the skin and teeth and their eyes healthy, supports their muscles, helps achieve and maintain a healthy weight, also strengthens their bone, supports their brain development. Children must eat right. Supports their brain development. For adults, I didn't mention that there. We're already grown, really. We're just cruising. We don't really need to be. So, yes, supports healthy growth, boosts the immunity, helps the digestive system. We are trying to wind up now, and I put here, moderation is key. This is scripture I said I never knew was there. While I was preparing this, I was trying to look up the scripture, and I saw it there. It said, Proverbs 25:16. Say, have you found honey? Eat only as much as you need, lest you be filled with it and vomit. So have you found free food? Have they given you food at an occasion? Offer. Eat as much as you need. Otherwise, you will endanger your health. So the vomit there can be expanded. You have diabetes, you have cancer, you have diarrhea, anything. That's what it means. You can expand that to mean anything. Eat what you need, just enough to keep you going. Then number 2 there says, Proverbs 23:19-20. Listen, my child, be wise and give serious thought to the way you live. Don't associate with people who drink too much wine, or stuff themselves with food. That's advice. Don't associate with people, because you can be tempted. When they are eating it, so well, this food is sweet. You can be tempted. All right? So you need to be disciplined. In conclusion, we say a healthy diet is essential for good health and nutrition. It protects you against many chronic, non-communicable diseases like diabetes, hypertension, and even cancers. Eating a variety of foods and consuming less salt, sugars, and saturated and industrially prepared trans fats like you have in cake, in all the sausages and all that, are essential for a healthy diet and, of course, a healthy living. May God bless us in Jesus' name.
I know you are blessed, but there are some of us that have questions to ask. While our professor is still standing, ask your question.
Okay. There's Mike. Thank you, sir. What is the maximum weight or minimum that adults should maintain?
Okay.
So that it should not be too low or too high.
Yeah, the way you can do that is to do what we call BMI. Okay? Body mass index. Because if you say adults means you can have an adult like this short. You can have an adult that is this tall, like Reverend Son. You cannot be talking about because an adult, your weight should be this. No. It's body mass index. Okay? Which is weight over height squared. Let's say your weight is 80 kg. Your height in meters, let's say 1.6. Who can do that? Who has a calculator here? So, about 22.5 is the ideal body mass index. Who can help me do the calculation? Anybody? I can see my nose there. Should I say yes? Let me give you I'll give you a value now. Let's say weight. Let's say 100. The way you can understand it, 100 over height square. Height square, let's say, is 1.6 meters. 1.6 times 1.6. You see the BSA. What does it give us? Is that what? 30? Yes. And if you check 39.0, who can Google something? Just Google body mass index of 39.0. What does it mean? That's morbid obesity. That's what it means. Morbid obesity. The guy is huge. He's also tall. But let's look at somebody, now this about, let's say, 1.6 6 meters, let's use a weight of 60. 60. But if I also go below 18 body mass index, that will be going to what? Too low. All right, so you can say between 18 to 22.5 is ideal. So you can work it out. Weight over the square root of the height. It will give you the values. Anything above 30 is already obesity. 39 is morbid obesity. Between 22.5 to 29, you have to overweight, obesity. Above 30, have you seen it? Nobody Googled it. This is a digital era. Who has done it? Weight of 60. Weight of 60 over a height of 1.6. BMI is what? 18 what? Excellent. So that's it. So between 18 to about 22.5. When it falls within that, it means you have a good body mass index. So you can do your own at home. Weight over height square. The range is there. Below that is not good. We talked about malnutrition. Above that is not good. You must find a way to fit yourself into the normal range. Okay.
Praise the Lord. Good morning, sir. Just 2 questions. Cold water and the body. Because I was told that some said cold water is bad, some said it's good. So I want to throw more light on cold water.
Okay.
And then cucumber. How beautiful is cucumber? Because there was a time that I used to have kind of huge tummy. I was taking it for a while. People now say, you're looking slim. I was like, is it the cucumber I was taking? Because I was taking it almost every blessed day, morning and evening. People are like, I'm getting slimmer. So I want to know if the cucumber is really doing that job. And then plantain and blood group. My father was saying something concerning that there's a kind of, that people with all one kind of blood group should not take plantain. So I don't know. Just
okay. All right, thank you. For water, there's no scientific evidence that drinking cold water and all that. Okay? Yeah, now if you go overseas, where the weather is very cold, they still drink cold water. Not talk of our situation here where we sweat a lot. See the way I'm sweating. It's only reasonable if I live here and you go and drink a bottle of cold water. Okay, there's no such, people say it, oh, if you take cold water, you have a cough. Yeah, if somebody has upper respiratory tract infection, maybe has cough or catarrh, yes, for that period. Otherwise, there's no proof really. Then for cucumber is like taking fruits or vegetable. All right, it helps you. It's not dangerous to health at all. It helps you to keep, all right? But too much of everything is bad. Even though the sugar content is low, when you don't stuff yourself so much, you're like watermelon. Your sugar content can also go up, all right? Then plantain and blood group, again, that is untrue. You see many posts on social media. We have to be careful what we read on social media. That's not true at all. I take a lot of blood group. Oh, my food breakfast is plantain and red oil and onion every morning. Every morning, except we did that, except on Saturdays, because that's when they make porridge, and that's a boss like porridge, like you can eat porridge up to 4 times. So they compel me. So you can imagine from Monday to Sunday, except Saturday, is oral plantain and red oil and onion. And blood group O. I've never had any issue at all. Okay? Yeah. Okay, maybe we can take 5. I'm traveling now. And let's take 5, sir. Sam, you get. Okay, Reverend, you give your number, sir. 5.
Mom is standing already.
1. Okay, Mama is there. I greet you, ma. Okay, 2. Mama is here.
Then you, DK is stand. And then Osahon, 4.
Okay, Mama is here.
That's 1. Then, who is that?
I think we can take to make it easier, yeah. We can take all the questions to make it faster.
You can write your questions. Give me the
No, I'm fine. No, we don't take them at once. Okay. To save time, because some may overlap the answer. No, no.
Just to remind ourselves, we are in a Christian gathering. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Thank you very much, Prof. My regret this morning is that I came late, but that's not a surprise to our Reverend, who calls me a potential latecomer. But Temi Yemi, that is it, Temi Yemi. Now, I want to really thank you. I want to really thank you for this talk. It is very timely. It is very important. Going by the number of people who, the number of people that die, suddenly, it is necessary that we know what is happening behind the scene. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
So my question, my very first question is has to do with what he said about blood group, which I don't want you to ignore, because a lot of talk has been going on about blood group and food. We need to know those who will be eating meat and those who shouldn't be eating too much meat. And then you talk about those carbohydrates, those who shouldn't be eating too much carbohydrate. Having said that, now salt, the issue of salt is very tricky. The issue of salt is very tricky. Now you talk about sodium chloride, which is a common salt. There is sodium monoglutamate, which is the problem we have. Yes. Too much Maggi no in the food is more deadly than salt. In those days, party food used to be packed with a lot of Maggi, so it's sweeter than the one you eat in the house. But these days, everybody cook party food at home. So the awareness really need to be strong, because we eat too much monoglutamate of sodium. I know that one of us, I'm not campaigning for, I'm selling what they call sea salt now. Some of you can go for sea salt. It is very good. Now, my question has not come, it's coming by way of contribution. One other thing I want to talk about is, where did I put it just now? You talked about solid oil and solid fat, the good and bad cholesterol. You see, me personally, I would have liked a table. The bad cholesterol, you end up with butter and cheese. Which is so crazy. I mean, cheese is one of my best food, because I look at it as healthy food. But today you have listed it under bad oil. So we need a table of good oil and bad oil. Again, this popular vegetable oil, it's liquid, but we've been told that it's also dangerous. So you need to have the one they call, you have the good vegetable oil and the bad, using cholesterol as an index. Now, having said that, one of the most important things that I need, and I know many of us here need, is food table. Food table. What should we eat in the morning? Give us food table. I know you are not a dietitian, but I know that you are a researcher and you can do that for us. We need food table. What should we eat? Going by the kind of food we have. Now you have crucified flour. You know that bread is staple food in Nigeria. Rice is staple food in Nigeria. So we have a problem. We need a food table. What should we eat for breakfast? What should we eat for, for lunch? And what should we take for dinner? Now, finally, we talk about eating, very small portion in the night. But sometimes you are hungry, you can't sleep. And then one of the rules I adhere to, one of the rules I adhere to is eating early, 7 o'clock. But you find out that by 10 o'clock you are hungry. Prof, what do we do? What kind of food can we take when we are hungry, when it's 10? Certainly not pounded yam.
Okay. I think we have all the questions submitted here. We'll try and attend to them. I'm happy Mama knows I'm a surgeon. I'm not a food expert. All right, but we attempt to answer them. I still maintain that people talk about blood group and food. They are social media news. I stand to be corrected. The only thing at all we know about blood group and diseases have to do with cancer of the stomach and peptic ulcer diseases. That for some reasons, people with blood group O have more of peptic ulcers, whereas those with other blood groups have more of cancer of the stomach, but not with food at all. Then for the salt, I want to appreciate you for adding that. The sodium monoglutamate, which is used in Maggi and other food supplements. It's very dangerous, can actually cause kidney diseases. It's one of the causes of renal failure. So for women that go to buy Maggi and all that, let's just be careful with how much of those things we take in our food. Yeah, cholesterol-free oil is available. You can buy it, but it's expensive. But I think that for your head, nothing may be too much for what you are going to do. Once in a while, you just tell yourself you want to look after your head. It's very important. Look after your head, because if you are going to help other people, you have to be healthy first before you have maybe your siblings needing your assistance and all that. I think that you can do that. There are some, the content is written there. There are some very low in cholesterol. We cannot overemphasize it. That cholesterol plugs the blood vessels. Okay, plug the blood vessels. All right. The food table, yes. Where food table, the way you can design that, one, what you can afford. It must be too expensive. That's the truth of the matter. Because if you have a food table, it can cause crisis at home. Assuming the person cannot afford it, what happens? I've just said, what I take for breakfast, I take my plantain, and I'm good. But if you now say everybody must take plantain, well, during that period, when plantain is very scarce, what happens? Oh, okay. Madam buys it, I don't even know how she buys it. So you see, I won't know. So we need to be careful about, but eat well. Vegetables can be part of anything. I give an example. Another man I managed the wife, a retired permanent secretary. Again, similar history, like I mentioned. We gave the wife blood before we gave the first chemo. And I told them, this is not too good. Blood has issues. The man said, only that? I said, yes. The man himself, only told them I told the man is about 80, the woman is 71, 70 something, 76 or so. The retired permanent secretary was making this pumpkin for this woman 3 times a day. She would drink the water, use the vegetable to make sauce. The man said, I'm a good cook. Only told them at home. Their daughter is quite grown, but go to see them once in a while. When the woman came for her next PCV check, it was, I think, 42. We didn't need to give her blood until we finish her treatment. So in the morning, you can eat a piece of yam and put your vegetables there. You can take, I just talked about oat. Oat is cheap. You can take oatmeal for breakfast. In the evening, make it, instead of eating a bar or pounded yam, the glycemic index in those food is quite high. But if you must take pounded yam because that was available, the portion, the last slide I talked about, portion. If you are eating what you eating before, you can discipline yourself. I'll be taking 1/3 of this from today. If you have that habit, you know, you can also do that. I think it's to know, then eating at night, again, is discipline. To wake up and be eating is not too tidy. Except if you wake up to eat and read. There's nothing wrong with that. You are doing something. You know, you are doing something. Like madam, my wife, she does that a lot. At times, she wakes up by 3 or 2:30. You know, you see her with some granota and a slice of bread and a cup of tea. It's reading from that tea. I can do that, for example. So I cannot afford to wake up by 2. I'll go and take a slice of bread and go back to bed. So it must be that you are up and you want to do something. Yes, that is fine. Because you are going to burn it. As you are reading, writing, you are mental, you know, you are engaged in activities. You burn some calories in that. But for you to take it and go back to sleep, I do not think that is right. So ignore the hunger, over time, you get used to it. Mama Kilele, your question, ma? Oh, have you written it? Oh. Okay, so I didn't wrote it. Okay. Yes, there are dangerous things to do. Yeah. They are not at all. thank God you are talking from personal experience. They are not. People just say all kind of things. Okay? Try to stick to what you are used to. Eat your food. You can still take bread. Why don't you can't take bread? Take a slice of bread. Take vegetable with it. Your weight will maintain. Then move around. Exercise. Move around. Like I'm telling you. In the afternoon, take maybe moi moi and take vegetables. You didn't even do this oatmeal. Practice it. And let us see after like 2 months. You will tell me, oh, Prof, that thing worked. Take cook out in the morning. Take some vegetables. In the afternoon, take something small, take vegetables. In the evening, take that and a lot of vegetables. Take it early. If it's possible to eat by 6, between 6 and 7, let us practice that. Like I just told you, that is my major issue. I come home usually late, around 9 or so. Only a few days I come. If you come in that time, for you have a bait to go and eat, you know, so time would have gone. So, all right. Practice stopping before getting stuffed. Well, for children don't really have much of a problem. But we can also get them to be disciplined from the onset. Because you cannot tell, you know, the way you can do that is to use portion. You measure the portion for the child to take. But most children, when they finish, they will tell you, Mommy, I need more. So you are compelled to give them more. But it's good to be disciplined. Because you also have children diabetics. And you don't want to experience that child having diabetes at the age of 12. Okay? How do you cope with eating breakfast like a king? No, what I simply mean, eating like a king, is eat enough, you know, good quality meals. That's what it means. We're not saying you should feed the table and all that. What I'm saying that people reverse the order. In the morning, they just take a cup of tea and say, that's my breakfast. People do that. A cup of tea, that's my breakfast. That is wrong. Let that even be the opposite in the evening. A cup of tea, you go to sleep. That's what that means. Okay. You wake up early. There's no other way. No, you must find a way to get them disciplined. You must get it, okay? You must get a way to get them disciplined. All right, some children in the house, they wake up by 5 a.m. The same child now that is telling you, 5 a.m. they wake up, they are regimented. Have your bed, they go for morning mass. From morning mass, they go and take regimented. You understand? Yeah, small children, you think it's a small child. Wake up by 5 a.m. Have your bed, go for mass by 6. Go for breakfast by 7. Go to class by 8. So it's possible. No, egg is very okay. Egg is very okay. That will answer the 2 questions. And I said if you can take 1 to 2 eggs a day, it's very okay. You know, you can get some of this information from the internet. But, you know, you can Google it, research articles. The way you can use internet, don't just Google anything. You can say research articles on eating eggs, something like that. Research articles. You see published data, not just opening and all that. So if you want to really read around it, just Google research articles on eggs. It contains a lot of high-density lipoproteins, which protects against the bad cholesterol. Okay? Yeah, fertilizer. Yeah, that's another challenge. You are very correct. People think that they use a lot of things to prepare what we eat. It's a very huge challenge. Fertilizers and all sorts of things. Chemicals they add, and we eat it. Perhaps that's why we're having so many diseases nowadays. Like I said, cancer is on the increase. If you go to our clinics in UBTA, the number of cancers we see every week is amazing. It's alarming. Young people having cancers, we can't explain it. If it's possible for those that have farm, if you can plant your own, you know, it's possible. You know, I was having that idea sometime, but insecurity on the Benin Road and all that. I have a plot of land in Iroa, 200 by 200. What my thought was, oh, let me see if I can employ people to make farm. But you cannot make farm, you don't go and supervise them, you don't go there. So, just when I was noticing that idea, this insecurity while on that road became an issue. If you can do that, to prepare your own, you know, have your own garden, vegetables, fruits, and all that. Our brother came yesterday, what's his name now? Bazwai. with, for his farm, what do you call it now? Watermelon. Loaded 2 vehicles. Which means, he said, I'm a farmer. Which means he can also, one of my colleagues, Rami, is in Jos. Rami is a big-time farmer. His son is even mechanized now. Produces rice, yam. He dashes to people. So that one will not be afraid of, oh, they're using chemicals. If you can do it, you do it. I agree that even when you eat chicken, it's a problem. But how many people can afford to buy the native chicken? It's very expensive. I have an in-law, I mean, you know him, Okoje. He's 100 years now. Was 100 in March. Right from time, he doesn't eat all these other, he eats only native chicken. Only native chicken, that's what he eats. And his food is all refrigerated. So my sister has people at home that go to market. They must make his soup fresh. How many people can sustain that? It's very worthy. So that's what they have done for years. The native chicken is not oily. But if you must take the chicken, remove the skin, please. If you see the chicken, you see the oil dripping from the chicken, it's not good. So white chicken may be safe. That part that is dripping oil, please remove it. But you say, but that is the one that is sweet. But you have to consider your head before you start saying that is the part that is sweet. I think I've attempted to answer some of the questions. May God help us in Jesus' name.
What do we say to our resource person? This thing you are seeing here, this seminar, if you want pay, Prof can ask us to pay 500,000 naira or 1 million naira.